All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews. For some reason, all my controls, as soon as I make a move, they all like revolt on me. Welcome back to the channel, though. This is the second of our Patreon reviews that we're doing. This is for Don Roderick's choice. He also entered at the $5 tier, so he got to pick what I was going to review. And he picked 1987's House of Games, starring Lindsay Krause, Joe Mantegna, Michael Nussbaum, J.T. Walsh, William H. Macy, Ricky Jay. Pretty much staples to Mamet, too. And, you know, it's a con man movie. So full spoilers if you haven't seen this movie. Because, yeah, this is a classic. So if you really want to, know about it, I'll try to be non-spoilery for the most part, but it's a con movie, so I'm always looking to see, how they're going to fool me in these movies, and maybe I've seen too many, but the whole thing what got me and Don talking about this was Ricky Jay being in the movie. I really, really, really appreciate Ricky Jay's career. He has always just kind of done his thing, and it just works. He was in one of my favorite episodes of The X-Files, The Amazing Bellini. He was in Boogie Nights. He's in, Paul Thomas Anderson movies. He's in a lot of stuff. And he just passed recently, and that's what got us talking about this movie. And he's done the Con Man movie, too. He also did Confidence with Ed Burns, Rachel Weisz, Dustin Hoffman. I think that's... Paul Giamatti was in that. Yeah, so he's no stranger to con man movies. And so that's the only thing that I have a problem with is that, I think everybody's really great in this. See, Lindsay Krause to me, I've always never really cared for. I remember her from, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and she just seems to be cop or doctor, serious cop, serious doctor, kind of one note, kind of monotone. And it's kind of unfair because, it seems like she kind of got typecast in this kind of thing. So it's hard to see. She's just always kind of that same tone, same beat. She's very flat to me in many things that she does. And so there was a little bit of as I'm watching this, because she's just so monotone. Now, that's just my way of looking at it. Joe Mantegna, though, he's Joe Mantegna. Again, another person who's always really good, but he's also pretty typecast. He's Joey Mantegna and things, you know what I mean? It's just, there's not much of a leap in a lot of his roles, but he's really good at it. So, if it ain't broke and it's paying the bills, then don't worry about it, because he is really good in this. Ricky Jay as well, who's always willing to go the extra mile to try to sell a con, there's a scene in here where at the beginning where I'm just going, this is all so obvious. This is so obvious, like a con. They're running, he pretends that he needs her. And so the basis of this is she goes to this place after she's a famous author, a therapist who one of her patients says he owes $25,000 to this guy. And for some reason, this therapist decides to go down to where this guy is to try to get the debt forgiven. But the thing is, it was very weird for her to me that she'd go there, because she's so monotone, it's hard to tell if she's giving a shit. But she goes down there, and I guess there's more to her character that's very subtle to me of why she's going there. Because she talks to her friend that she has lunch with. She needs to go do things, and and she talks about, she's never done anything unforgivable in there. Her friend says, go do something unforgivable and come back to me. So that's the part that I guess I never really thought about, was that this was all just some big exercise for her. She was just she's so smart and she's such a tourist. It's almost like she knew in a way that this was happening to her, and she was just letting it play out to how far it would go. Or was she really conned? That's the thing. That's the part that kind of confuses me. So they're running a con on her when she goes down to this place to get this guy's money back. And it's obvious. To me it is. I don't know if I've seen too many con man movies or maybe I'm a bit of a, I don't know. What does that say about me? I don't know. I do like to think of all possibilities in a situation, so I don't know. But then I see that we're supposed to know, because you see the gun that Ricky Jay has, it's leaking water. And so I was like, all right, cool. They're obviously caught. And she's going to see it, and she does, and she calls him on it. And then it's just like, then they kind of bring her in, and she starts to get comfortable, and they show her a few things. And I want to talk about really quickly the very beginning of this episode, or this movie. Sorry. There's a lady that has her book, Driven. And she comes up to her, and she's very just, yeah, whatever. And something told me that her attitude towards her fan, something in the book, and the fact that she wrote a book and everything, and this is how she is, was going to somehow bite her in the ass. I called that like right away. So remember that for later in the review. So again, they're showing her things, and I'm like, yeah. They're still just so full of shit. If you've ever seen a con, it never ends. It never ends for these people. So just when you think it's over, it's not. And so she, goes down this rabbit hole with these people, pulling herself in closer. The one guy laying it on so thick, like, don't bring her along. Like, it's just, again, everything out of there. It's all lie after lie after lie after lie. And again, it's just like, I could see it coming the whole way. Everywhere it was going, it just, yep, that's exactly what I predicted. That's exactly, like, it's a pretty predictable con going on to me. And then he sleeps with her, and, she takes his pocket knife that he has, and they've got all this whole thing set up in this room, and they're going to go after this guy. They have a whole thing going with J.T. Walsh's character, who's like at like some conference, and they have this whole thing set up where there's a briefcase of money left on the ground. They're all outside waiting for it, and then they see that in the briefcase there's $80,000, and it's like the treasure of the Sierra Madre, where everybody's like, okay, how do we split this up? Like, how do we do this with each other? And the whole who do you trust kind of thing. Did I just make a treasure of the Sierra Madre reference? That just kind of flew out. And so everybody, again, I'm just like, okay, how is this? They're telling us it's a con. This is the gig. The J.T. Walsh is the guy they're trying to get, the whale or whatever you'd want to call him. And so the whole thing just starts to go sour. There's a gun involved, who's going to go with who. And then she sees J.T. Walsh, having this like private moment. They show you what they want to show you. I kept thinking that the whole time. They're always going to show you what you're supposed to see, what they want you to see, not what you don't. It's all, again, it's a little bit like magic, like that's misdirection. So conning and magic and all that stuff and illusions, it's all kind of bullshit. And so that's why Ricky Jay is really good at this, because he's good at this kind of stuff. So she's like, oh my God, he's a cop. And I'm like, really, lady, you're really falling for it. You're just still going for it. And I just kept thinking that the character was just dumb. Like, it's obvious to me that this is all bullshit. Why isn't it obvious to her? Even the whole thing with the cop stuff. And maybe, again, this speaks so much. Am I just jaded? Am I desensitized to cons? So they start fighting with the cop, the cop, like, she needs to get out of this room, which is really crazy. Like, they're wrestling with the gun, and she's against the door, and she's trying to force her way out. And I'm going, why? Like, I know she's desperate and everything, but, like, you're not going to get... So then there's another fight with the gun, and it goes off, and it shoots J.T. Walsh, and he dies from a gut shot wound. Which, that's, I guess, the way people die, is you shoot them in the gut and they just die. Nothing left. And so it's like, again, it's another way to tell. This is all bullshit. He just, squib goes off, and in a prop, a gun with blanks, blood trickling, he bites a capsule, it's all easily done. And so I'm just still going like, when is she not going to realize, and we all got to go, we all got to split up. And Michael Nussbaum, who's great, and also did an X-Files. Actually, so did JT Walsh. JT Walsh was in season 3, and Ricky Jay was in season 7, and Michael Nussbaum was in season 4 in Demons. He was a doctor in that. Michael Nussbaum was. JT Walsh played the warden in The Long Walk, I think, or it's just called The Walk. That's right, and about Death Row. Okay. So yeah, they just went down an X-Files rabbit hole. I'm very sorry. Always making connections. So yeah, wow, I lost my train of thought. So yeah, Michael Nussbaum like even cracks her across the face. Like, they're really selling it. And I'm still going, lady, wake up. And she doesn't. And she runs and she goes away and she starts throwing everything away. And then she looks at the pocket knife, and I guess that makes her like, then she runs into the kid comes to her door. The kid that from the beginning of the movie that was like said he was owed the money. And she goes to leave and she sees him on the phone, and then she sees him get into the car that she stole for them earlier. And she follows him to the tavern, and there she sees him and Ricky Jay, and then they go to back, and he hears all of them call her a bitch a bunch of times, and then and how stupid and how they pulled this thing off and blah blah blah. And I'm thinking, okay, they've fooled her, and she's there, and she's realizing she's been fooled, and I'm like, hey lady, hey. And I'm thinking, maybe she knows. Maybe she knew the whole time. But they're not playing it like that. They're playing it like she got suckered and she's got that one solitary tear go down her face. And, I mean, they really give her the business over at the table. And so I think, okay, when we see, Mantegna says they're going to go to the airport. And he's going to go to Vegas. And she's just there waiting for him. And I'm thinking, okay, so they got her $80,000 because she gives them $80,000 because it got lost and it didn't make it into the car, and of course it didn't. And I'm like thinking, maybe she's in on it then. Maybe she's standing in the background. I'm thinking maybe she did something with it and she's gonna fake all these guys out. But no, she gives them the $80,000 and they take it from her. They whack it up amongst each other, and then he goes to the airport and she's just there. And he's like, oh, and she offers to give him $250,000. And I'm like thinking, good Lord, okay, here's her con. She's conning him, right? She's got to be conning him. He's not, but no, he thinks, oh my God, this broad is so dumb. And so he's got the money, and they go into like a secluded area of the airport, which is 1987. I guess airports where you can confront a jilted lover and can confront somebody of being conned. So she just basically says like, yeah, like, you took my money, and he's doing the whole I'm sorry, and when they're not really sorry, they're just saying it. It's just all meaningless because they're pretty amoral. Like, they say it's just business, but it's like, you're not sorry. If you were sorry, you wouldn't do things like this. But it's, again, like, even the sorries are a con. And so it just felt like, oh my God, she knows she got duped, and then she pulls the gun. Now, at least, like I've said in other videos recently even, if you're going to pull the gun, do something with it. And I didn't think this movie would end in violence. But she shoots him in the back of the leg. And then he just starts kind of, going off on her, and she shoots him again, and she, thank you, sir, may I have another? And she kills him. Like, she blows him away. And it just kind of, like, she knew she got taken, but did she just not know? Did they just pull, they described the con to her that they're doing to somebody else, but they're really doing to her. And I felt like is she just this dim? But then you see at the end of the movie, that she's, clearly dressed in more colorful clothes to make her feel like she's carefree and like on vacation. And she runs into a fan and she's delighted to sign his book and she says, "Forgive yourself." And she has lunch with her friend and she says, "Yeah, you told me to do something unforgivable and then come back and forgive myself and move on with my life." And that's what I did. And so I'm like trying to think, like, so did she this whole time, just because she's rich and an author and a therapist, was this just like a lark to her? Like this little whole thing, and that she needed to know how far it would go until she killed somebody? It's just, So she never was in on any of it. Or did she? Like, they just don't make that clear, that if she knew the whole time, like, and that the part that broke her heart was that, she slept with him and he was in on it, and maybe, it's just, this is something that's, me and my, the Don, that I did this for, we're going to have some conversations about this movie in the future, because I'm just confused that, so was this just her, like, go down as far as it'll take me, like, lark? And she just goes, like, it's nothing, and she's killed a guy? Because I didn't know this was going to go film noir, where I thought it was going to be like she somehow does switcheroo and he gets taken but not killed or anything. She just takes their money and fools cons the con man. So that's the part that's kind of confusing me. Otherwise, it's a fine, kind of by the numbers con movie to me. I mean, in 1987, this movie was probably considered like brilliant and set the standard for, con movies to come. Probably this is where other movies came from. Then you go, well, what about The Sting? We're not talking about The Sting. So anyway, that's all I really had to say about it until I talked to him. But I did enjoy it, and I always like Joey Mantegna, and I like Ricky Jay a lot. And it's nice to remember all these guys that were from the X-Files. And I bet you Lindsay Krause is probably in there. No, I don't know. I don't think she was in the X-Files, unless she was in season 6. Nope, that was somebody else. Anyway, if you liked this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, all that jazz. Otherwise, I want to thank Don again for picking this movie. And again, anybody who wants me to review something, you just got to go to the Patreon and pick the $5 tier. Or you can just put $5 in the PayPal account and I will review it, and just message me what you want me to review from there. Otherwise, this is Robert Smirking Gun Review saying have a great day, and we will see you on the next review. Bye.